Hey, how's it going? And welcome to Whisky Whims with me, Stuart. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. As you can see, coming up on your right are the Kelpies, which were designed by sculptor Andy Scott, and these form a gateway at the eastern entrance of the Forth and Clyde canal, which I'll be using to cycle to the distillery today. Coming up on our left is Rosebank Distillery, and this is currently under refurbishment and is also owned by Ian MacLeod Distillers, who own the distillery we are going to today. Next on our left is another great attraction in Falkirk, the Falkirk Wheel, which connects the Forth and Clyde and raises boats up and down the canal using Archimedes' principle. It actually only uses the same amount of energy as 8 boiling kettles. This waterfall is stream water from Glengoyne Hill and supplies some of Glengoyne Distillery. They also take some from the local reservoir at Carron Valley, as the stream is no longer enough. So as you can see from the video, the tasting rather than tour was a 10-year-old, an 18-year-old and a mystery dram. The setup was quite lovely, a little plinth with the 3 bottles, the glasses, and also we got a stave, a piece of chocolate and a flavour wheel that I've kind of crumpled up from the cycle back. So that's how it was all laid out, quite nice. Unfortunately, it wasn't actually a tour, it was more of an experience, they called it. And it's understandable with COVID. I mean, you rocked up to the distillery, they had their masks on, you had to sign in, track and trace and all that good stuff, everything seemed clean. So I can appreciate that, and I can understand how difficult it must be during these times to risk assess things and actually get tours provided, but definitely not a tour, just more of a tasting, and it was like a PowerPoint slideshow type thing with the gentleman describing and telling us about Glengoyne, which was lovely enough, but like I said, not really a tour and not what I was expecting. It probably did state it on the website, but I didn't really look. I was just too busy booking so that we could get out on the cycle and go. So the main part of this was definitely the cycle. I enjoyed it, going past the Kelpies, going past Rosebank Distillery, seeing how that's getting on, and then Falkirk Wheel, through the canals, and then all the way to Glengoyne Distillery, which was an absolutely fantastic cycle. Just me and my thoughts initially, some good music, and then I caught up with my brother, and most of the cycle we were chatting together, putting the world right, basically, just talking absolute garbage. So the whiskies themselves, the 10-year-old was my brother's favourite. He didn't leave any in the glass. He drank all 2 of the 5 CLs and the 3 CL. So after it, he was a little bit drunk cycling home. Luckily, I only had half of each. So the 10 was his favourite. Quite a smooth whiskey, 40% ABV, obviously chilled filtered, and yeah, it is nice. It's quaffable. You could drink this and drink this and drink this, and you probably wouldn't get sick of it. But there's not too much going on there. It's not overly complex or anything. It's just nice enough. The 18-year-old, I enjoyed that a little bit more. 43% ABV, still chill filtered, no added colouring, and yeah, natural colour. And this was an alright dram. You could tell it was an older version, especially with the colour. It's kind of imparted a little bit more. But still, for me, a little lacking, possibly because of chill filtration. Finally, was the mystery dram, which I knew straight away was cask strength, and I guessed it was a teapot dram, and it was. It's the teapot dram 007 batch 007. Again, this is a fantastic whiskey, 59%, really full bodied, really complex, and it really goes to show that how well cask strength actually prevails in this lineup. So I really enjoyed that whiskey, and I was so tempted to buy a bottle until I got into the shop, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So the ambassador, as they call themselves, run us through their kind of process. They don't peat, they never use peat, never have used peat. They get their barley in, like most distilleries do. They obviously mill it themselves, same process, distilling, fermentation, all that. Like every other distillery. I don't believe they have a bottling plant. They do have a dunnage warehouse, and the casks are all maturing in these warehouses, which is just across a busy road. And a thing I found quite surprising, and I didn't know this, and it might just be my naivety, and some other distilleries might do it, but Glengoyne, when they get their new make, it's about 72% ABV, and they actually add water to the whiskey as they put it into the cask to mature. So they bring it down to about 60 to 65, I believe, which I never knew was a thing, and maybe a lot of distilleries do it, but they're obviously wanting a rather mellow spirit at the end, unless they're providing the cask strength whiskey. So they'll add water at the start to the barrel and to the new make to bring it down. I'm assuming at the end, if need be, they'll add water as well to dilute it, to bring it down to a certain ABV, then chill filter it. So the cask strength versions for me are probably why I've been drawn to the Glengoyne cask strength versions more, rather than just the normal age statements and the core range, because it seems like there's a lot of water, a lot of dilution, a lot of chill filtering, taking away a lot of lovely flavour. The stark contrast between the cask strength whiskies and the chill filtered non-cask strength whiskies is quite significant. Yeah, so we got stave as well. Doesn't really smell much. It was just there for a kind of show, I suppose. Chocolate, some famous chocolatier, lovely chocolate. It was nice. And yeah, that's probably all I've got to say about the whiskies themselves, the experience. We didn't actually get to go in the still house or anything like that. We got to see warehouse number 1, and you could just see the still house from an opening. But we didn't go in the still house, didn't get to see the tons or anything like that. It was all on a slideshow, provided through a slideshow. So a little bit disappointing in a sense, but understandable with COVID. I couldn't really see an issue with going around with a mask on through the stills and things. But I suppose if people are touching things, then that might be the concern. But yeah, just a little bit. I think we might have been able to go around, and there might be other distilleries that are doing that, but they've obviously risk assessed it and decided not to do it. So what you've just seen there is the Glengoyne shop, the visitor shop. Now I understand the prices are probably a little bit of an increase due to tourists and due to it being the distillery shop, but you'd really hope that distilleries would have a reasonable price as well. Thinking like to Springbank and that, I don't think they hike their prices up too much in the distillery shops and that, whereas other distilleries, including Glengoyne, have kind of hiked the prices up for tourists and for the distillery visitors, which is a bit of a shame, especially like Chris and I, my brother, we cycled there for the tour, for the experience, and then the shop, and the prices were a little bit much. So the Teapot Dram 007, I was very close to buying that, thinking to myself when I was trying it, yeah, if this is £80, I'll buy it, non-age statement, I'll buy it, fine. If it's £90, I might even buy it, but we went to the shop and it was £120, so that was a little bit disheartening, and I did not walk away with any bottles. The Glengoyne 21 was £180. I can't remember what age the 18-year-old was, but they also had the distillery exclusive, which usually sits in a cask and you can pour it into your bottle yourself. Unfortunately with COVID, once again, they didn't have that feature, but they had the bottles pre-bottled, or the whiskey pre-bottled. But I still thought you might have been able to just, as long as you were wearing a mask, hand sanitizer, and then pour it, I thought there might be no issue there because you've sanitised your hands, but once again, they've obviously risk assessed it to say that no pouring at all, nothing. So I believe it was cask 599, a sherry hogshead or some sherry cask, 14-year-old, cask strength, distillery exclusive, like I said, and it's £150 that was, which is a little bit much for the age, but I could have bought that, to be honest, with the cask strength and all that, but I would have mainly bought it, and I did say this to the distillery shop guy, the guy that was working at the shop, that if I had been able to pour it myself, I probably would be more inclined to buy it because it would have been like a part of the experience. But because it was just sitting there already bottled and that, I didn't really see much purpose. And the fact that I was cycling back, didn't really want to put a bottle in my bag. I reckon if I bought a bottle, we would have got the train back, but like I said, we didn't buy anything. So overall, the cycling part of the journey was fantastic. Get to clear your head, beautiful views, just taking everything in, fresh air. Yeah, a real journey to the distillery. Beautiful. And the distillery tour itself, the guys there were great. The COVID precautions and all that, yes, they were adequate and might have been over the top in my eyes, but they've obviously set a standard, which is fine. The tour itself, not really been a tour, been an experience. Probably my fault for not reading the website, the ticket. But yeah, still nice enough to see the distillery, and nice enough to get back into normality of sorts. But for now, with regards to COVID and the way things are, and if this is how tours are going to be currently with distilleries, I will not be going on any tours until everything's back to normal. That kind of proved to me that there's not really any need. It was £25 for the tour, which isn't too much, but yeah, not really what I was looking for and hoping for, but most likely my fault for not reading the website. So anyway, that's been my distillery tour, COVID/journey/cycle video. I don't know what to call it, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's been something different, and I'll see you later.